Welcome to Chaos Connections, the Not Safe for Work podcast removing the filters from the Instagram of parenting and daily life. We're three moms, Harley, Rain, and Raven, parenting our darling crotch fruit through various stages and phases while trying to maintain relationships, careers, a sense of humor, and our sense of self. Clearly not our waistlines. Join us through our triumphs, laugh at and commiserate with our struggles, marvel at how we function in our batshit crazy lives. Just be mindful of our motto, Irumabu circuitu et queramus, which is Latin for fuck around and find out.
Hello to all of our lovely Chaos Connection listeners and
Hello, darling.
viewers if you're on YouTube. Welcome if you're
Hello.
new. We today, the Moms of Chaos, we're going to be tackling a little bit of a heavy topic. We're going to be talking about parenting kids that are struggling with their own mental health issues. Like we previously discussed, we as the moms
But
have
mental
our own
fuckery.
shitstorms that we're dealing with, mental fuckery. And so we're going to talk about trying to deal with our own and parent someone who maybe doesn't fully understand what's going on with their noggin. Before
We don't
get,
understand what's going on with ours. What are you talking about?
this is true. This is very true. So it's the blind leading the blind. Before we get into it, though, Rain does have a quick warning for our listeners to make you prepared.
Okay, so this episode contains topics that some listeners may find uncomfortable. We are choosing to air this because we believe the subject matter is important to all people. This is a heavy topic. Mental health is more acceptable to discuss now, and the treatment of mental health is so much more than it was even 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's come a long way. There's a lot more resources than there used to be. Thank fuck we're not like institutionalizing people that appear to be different.
Yeah.
Dude, I'd be burned at a stake. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah.
Like, seriously.
I would have already been I
Committed?
would have already been put down like old Yeller and dissected for in section and studying.
Dude, I would have
Okay,
died
so
in
just
childbirth.
because you would possibly be lobotomized to try to fix your fuckery back in the day doesn't mean that, there's not answers now.
Yeah.
And we learn more and more every day about different disorders that people are dealing with and how to help them. Rain has talked about one that's fairly new in the diagnostic criteria, so it's not super like researched or well known. And
ARFID is something that a lot of people are like, I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
It's an eating disorder, but it's a mental eating disorder. It's not based in self-image issues. It's not based in body dysmorphia. It is literally, seriously, this kid is fucking too cocky for her own good majority of the time. And
she is. I call her Savage Barbie.
I haven't told her that yet. She probably will giggle.
I'm such a proud auntie.
But it is so hard to navigate because there's aspects of it that, okay, is this something new? Is this part of ARFID? Is this part of her depression? Is she, hypoglycemic? What the fuck is going on with my kid? And she doesn't know, like, she's like, I'm eating. I don't know why I'm dizzy. I've been eating. I had this and this. Okay, that was carb loaded. You need some protein. We need to figure this out. Okay, we need to do more balance. Not just try to, carb load.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid loves cooking. Like, the kid loves cooking.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, there's times she doesn't feel like cooking and she has no fucking clue what she wants. Yeah. And then you add into that feeds into her depression. So it's like when you get friends together, and we know this because y'all have watched this happen on this podcast. friends will feed, things will feed off of each other. So if we get going and we're just yep, 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 we get more and more amped, or we get more and more snippy with each other. And normally it's in good fun, but that will happen even if it's not in good fun.
Yeah,
We
it's
just
a vicious cycle.
It's
Yeah,
a
it
vicious
can
cycle.
be. And mental fuckery is the same goddamn way, and I hate it.
And
And then you have the mental fuckery fighting for who's going to be the most focal point. And it's like, okay, well, this is depression, this is this, and this. Now y'all are all fucking with the entire same thing, and I can't help my kid because I don't know what to do. I don't know what the best way to
yeah,
do this
and
is. I don't know how best to encourage everything. So yeah, sorry.
I so I stayed. I was lot of background that we're not going to delve into, but I wound up living with Rain for a short time after which Kintu had this diagnosis. And I think one of the things as a parent is you want to do so much to try to help your kid. You want to just fix the problem for your kids. And the problem with mental health is you can't. So there's no simple fix that you as a parent can
There's
do.
no fix.
And
There's just work.
and so sometimes I know for me as a parent, it gets frustrating because I'm like, what? Just this will help. I promise this will help. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. And it
Fucking try it.
yeah, and so it's as the parent to somebody dealing with a mental health issue, it's hard to not let your helplessness result in lashing out from frustration.
Well, and it's such a tightrope because you've got to balance your needs with theirs, and you've got to make sure that you're not overstepping their boundaries because you want them to have healthy boundaries and grow up with that attitude because you don't want them to repeat the shit that you've been through. And it's just it's literally a tightrope.
Mm-hmm.
And
It is. One of
I
the
hate
things that I do with my kids, and I've done this with both of them, is I will tell them, it's like, this is something that has helped other people. It did not work for me. It may work for you. This is something that works for me, but it may not work for you. But give it a try because this honestly may help you. You need to give it the old college try. I get it. Neither one of you have gone to college, but you still need to fucking try.
It's a
It's a phrase
saying.
for a reason.
It's just a fucking saying.
It's not that serious.
What I'm gonna. So I think that one of my biggest hurdles that I have had to try to overcome in helping seek out and get mental health care for my children is that the younger the child is, the harder it is to find a provider who will treat them. Counseling it hasn't been the issue. It's been like a psychiatrist that has been the tricky part. And just like adults, you don't want to go to a doctor that you have no rapport with. You want to feel comfortable saying, "Hey, doc,
Yep.
I've had some dark moments this since I last saw you," or whatever. And so, you got to keep that line of communication open with your kids too, and say, "Hey, how if your kid's coming to you with an issue about that with their mental health or a struggle that they're having, hey, have you had a chance to talk to Dr. So and so about this? Have you expressed it to them?" And
Yep.
so that's definitely
And
been a
there's been
frustration
times that I
I've
have
had.
hijacked part of her therapy session because it's virtual, and I'll go in and I'll be like, "Okay, so hey, Leah, just
By the way, we need to
by the
discuss blah
way,
blah blah.
no, it's like, has she mentioned this?" And I go over stuff, and then she has no choice but to talk about it with her therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And I let her know that I'm walking over there. I let her know. It's like, hey, real quick, stop what you're saying, because I don't need to know what's discussed in her therapy
Right.
session. If she wants to tell me, great.
Exactly.
But she's in therapy to work through the muddle that is in her head, or what's going on that's stressing her out. And it may not be something she's ready to come talk to me about. It may
And
be something she's already talked to me about.
I'm gonna just throw this out there for any parents who may be getting their children into therapy. Um, there are going to be times that your child might not want to discuss certain struggles that they're having in front of you. And I'm going to be real with you. The first time that your child looks at you and says, "Mommy, can I have a private moment with the doctor to talk about something?" Or, "Daddy, can you leave the room for a minute? I want to talk to the doctor so and so about something." It's a stab to the heart because you feel like, "But you can talk to me about anything." But you got to swallow your
Uh-huh.
pride and acknowledge that that is what your child needs, and also acknowledge you're paying to have them speak with a professional. And let's be honest, there are sometimes your kids dump a problem in your lap and you're like, "I don't know what the fuck to do." Well, guess what? That's what the professional is for. Let the professional deal with it.
Right? Like, you don't hire a plumber and then do his job for him. You should do the same with your kids' doctors and therapists. And
Yeah, I let the
dude,
plumber
part
have
of
his crack out.
creating, thank you. Like, part of creating a psychologically safe environment for your kids is that you have to swallow your pride. You have to, fuck, fine, this is what you need. Okay. And because that's going to tell your kid that no matter what they're dealing with, you really are giving them space. You really do have, like, you mean it when you say that they can come talk to you about anything, that you're here for them, that you'll do what they need. But you've got to be really conscious about doing things that create psychological safety for your kids. Because if you don't, they're not going to talk to you. They're not going to come to you with anything. They're going to go to other people, and
And
who
sometimes
knows
it's
how
not
that's
even
going to
their
end up.
doing.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just
Sorry.
gonna I was just
That's
gonna
a
I was gonna throw in a word of caution that Rain and Raven will both know the source of this, but we're not going to disclose that in any way, shape, or form. It is no surprise that the three of us can be snide and sarcastic and mouthy, and we all have the dynamic within our families that we can be that way jokingly. Um, but when you're but there's a time and a place for it. And
Mm-hmm.
if your child is expressing a concern about an issue that is actually troubling to them, that is not the time to pop off with some snide, snarky comment, because
No, that
that
is the time to read the damn room.
because those snide, snarky little comments that you might make in passing and you think is a joke, but it was inappropriately timed, they can plant seeds that are
Mm-hmm.
vicious to get out.
Yeah, they can backfire. Like, Apprentice 2 has a difficult time reading people's emotions or intent. And so if they're coming to me with a problem and I pop off with a sarcastic joke, like, Dar will get it, Apprentice 1 will get it, but Apprentice 2 will take it personal and think I'm being serious. And that's the last thing I want, is for them to is for me to create issues for them.
Yeah.
Right? So that's not the time. But it's got to I got to let it out, so I have to wait for the appropriate moment.
Yeah. And I think I think it's good to, like, for example, the dynamic that I have with my kids is that for the most part we're good natured and just having a good time with each other. But um typically if it's a serious topic that's being brought up, we try to be as upfront that, hey, this is a serious topic and I want to talk about it. So that way there's no confusion on it. But also with the dynamic that I have with my kids, typically the time and moment that they choose to come to me, if they are choosing to come to me one on one away from everybody, in my mind, that already tells me this is probably a private conversation and more than likely a kind of serious topic. So now is not the time to be snarky. Now is the time to be as open and receptive and understanding as possible. And always, of course, keep it age appropriate. You know, do your best. Try to speak at their level so that they understand.
But if that snark really has to come out, call your besties, because
Oh my God, that
they'll
has
get
happened
it.
so many freaking times.
Oh, for
I have to
sure.
give a little bit of backstory. That has happened so many times. We need a conference call now. Is everything okay? It is now, but I have to say this.
Holy fuck. I have to get
And
this out.
And normally, if it's Savage Barbie we're talking about, we are dying laughing. But no, so I've gone into
we're either dying laughing or I'm
the
buying
mental
something on
fuckery of
Amazon.
Yeah.
sometimes both,
Sometimes both.
Which will probably go back into being being slightly regular on after November.
Yes, because part of fixing our own mental fuckery as parents was that while all three of us had periods of unemployment and we're going through some shit, now all of us can breathe again because all of us have a job. And okay,
And
so
by
that
the
takes a
by,
little bit
Harley
off.
and Rain are still looking for project management type positions or Scrum Master positions because that is what we really want to get into. It is a move from our current career path onto a different one, but it's something that we're both passionate about. So if you have any leads, feel free.
Send them over.
And
But
side note,
we were able,
side note to caveat onto what Rain just said. Although we may have not filled that titled role of project manager or scrum master, does not mean that the roles that we have previously filled don't have overlapping skills that would be beneficial. And keep in mind,
yeah.
fresh set of eyes can solve a million problems.
Mm-hmm.
All right, back to the topic.
They can. So part of parenting kids with mental fuckery when you're dealing with your own mental fuckery is you have to make sure that your mental fuckery is at least in check. And we've said 1,000 times you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So I've been unemployed for the last 2 months and taking a lot of naps because depression sucks. And I finally realized when I was talking to Rain the other day that part of why it's been so bad for me is that I'm a goddamn extrovert. And I don't have a job to go to interact with people. The only people interaction I get is going to the fucking grocery store. And I'm not doing anything that's challenging my brain. So for the last 2 months, I've been getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, and then maybe doing something around the house, maybe doing some exercise, applying for 100 jobs a day. I'm not exaggerating. And then taking a 4-hour nap that I really don't need. I don't need the sleep.
I can relate 100% to what Raven's talking about, and Rain can attest to this, that when my depression hits a
Captain and I had to intervene.
When my depression hits a pretty steep low, my go-to is to shut down and just sleep it off. Not healthy, and I
literally putting her head in the sand. It's literally putting her head in the sand in the form of a blanket burrito.
I mean, it is a type of avoidance. It's also a type of passing the time, and not saying that that's healthy, but it's better than drinking up a shitstorm. Which is really bad for your liver and your social circle and your wallet. But I've been talking to my therapist about, different strategies I can use when I feel myself engaging in activities and habits that I want to break, right? So getting myself in check can help me be better about helping my kids, because my darling apprentice too they're funny and they're snarky and they're smart and they're giving and so generous. But the world doesn't get to see those things because they have just wicked social anxiety. And so they walk around like this. And I don't know if you guys remember the movie The Incredibles, but the daughter in that one, Violet,
Mm-hmm.
for the whole movie, she's got her hair covering her face so that she can hide from the world. Apprentice 2 does the same thing. We suspect that we might also be dealing with autism, and I've got to find somebody to get that checked out. But that social anxiety, most of the time, they can't even order their own food at a restaurant. They have to whisper it to me so I can order it for them, because they just cannot bear to look at the waiter and speak to them. And stuff like that. They can't stand up for themselves when they're being bullied. And so being able to have the presence of mind to talk to them in a way that they need, instead of
That's
ninja kick the
actually how
damn
they
rabbit.
are. That's actually kind of how, way back when they were friends that led to us being friends, Witchkin 2 and Apprentice 2, I think Witchkin 2 stood up for them,
Yeah.
stood up for them.
She did.
And that is Witchkin 2. She will go into protector mode like nobody's business, and sometimes at one point it was to her detriment. And it took many conversations and explaining things that I've gone through, because I'm a mother hen. I've always been. I'm gonna,
Rain is a natural mama.
I've done this. I've been this way since I was young. I've always been the mom of my group. I'm actually the mom of this group, and it's really funny because I mom Raven, and people are probably like, wait, what? But no, I do. It's just how I am, and Witchkin 2 is very much the same. And I had to explain to her that taking care of people is great, but at the same time, you have to take care of you.
You can't
And
do it
at
so
this
much
point,
that you get hurt.
at this point, you need to figure out what you need, not what they need.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If I could, I would help everybody, but I'm one person, and that's a lot of fucking work, man. Like,
I have
it
similar
is.
talks with Apprentice 2, because they're the same way. They cannot stand up for themselves. But God help you if you attack somebody that they care about, because they will be in your face and they will let you have it. But they have done that so much that they have kind of become the sounding board and the protector for their friends. And it can be exhausting mentally. And they're dealing with that. And I have to remind them, in a calm and loving manner, that, sweetheart, you can't take care of the whole world, especially if you're not taking care of yourself. You've got to pull back a little. And
It
they
sucks.
are in therapy. Yeah, it does. It sucks. But I love their therapist. They just forget that they need to talk to their therapist about this or about that. And I'm like, child, seriously,
Yeah.
your
No,
therapist can help you. I promise. She's very, very highly trained.
and
Sticky
to
notes.
touch
Yeah.
to touch on Rain being the mama bear in almost every situation. I am not so much a mama bear, but I'm fiercely protective of my friends, and if I see my friends putting themselves in a vulnerable position, I will point it out to them, because the last thing I want is somebody I care about to go out of their way, put themselves out there to try to offer help to somebody, and then not have it work out and have that failure, so to speak, mentally fall on them. I don't want that. I don't want the people I care about to go through that. And that's a thought process that I struggle with. And so I kind of just assume that others have a similar thought process, which thankfully is wrong. But I do always try to say, hey, you know, I understand you want to help in this situation, but just be prepared I hope it works out, but if it doesn't, don't put all your eggs in one basket, I guess is the best way to put it.
So what Harley is eloquently referring to is we mentioned Odette in previous episodes. And all three of us put a lot of effort and time into trying to help her. A week ago, Odette reached out to me and I flat out told her, it's like, if you want help, you got to take the first steps. If, and then she said some stuff. I'm like, if that's how you actually feel, then why did you reach out to me? Because I'm not the person you reach out to if that's what you want.
Like we all let ourselves get more wrapped up in the situation than I think we should have, because we all took an emotional hit when things didn't work out how we had hoped. And
because what she was dealing with is stuff that we've been through.
Yeah. So the
sad truth is some people are not strong enough to pull themselves out of that even when help is offered.
No.
Yeah.
And so that is the sad truth, and it's something I've accepted.
The reason I bring it up is for me, it took way too long in my life to realize that I needed a tribe, and it took way too long for me to start building that tribe. But my hope for Apprentice 2,
I started it for both of you fuckers.
My hope for Apprentice 2 and Witchkin 2 and all of our kids, and really just everybody, is to have that. Just know that everybody needs a tribe. Nobody is strong enough to stand alone 100% of the time. And the whole, one of the benefits of having the tribe is having somebody kind of not only have your back, but also point out, hey, just, you're doing this, and I understand you feel like this is what you got to do. Just be careful. Just be careful. Don't let yourself,
or call you on your shit when you're being a dick to your husband.
Yeah, that happens to me.
Apprentice 2 and I were actually talking about this last night, because we were going to go to a haunted doll museum because it's spooky month and we love doing this kind of shit. And we got there and we were really disappointed, and I felt like I had let them down because I didn't do enough research beforehand, and we got excited and it looked shitty. So on the way home, they went into a slight depressive episode, thinking about how they have no friends at school. They hate high school. They can't imagine, they're in that phase of life where you can't conceive of anything in the future being different than the fuckery that you're in right now. You can't
light at the end of the
see
tunnel.
it. All you can see are the damn trees. Yes. And so I was explaining to them that, with high school, you are surrounded by people that have been forced on you. You didn't choose any of these people. And you have to deal with them. You have to learn how to deal with them, because that's just part of being an adult. But when you get out of high school, you get to say, fuck all y'all, and you get to start pulling people around you that lift you up, that inspire you, that are just there for you. You get to decide who's part of your life. Those fuckers that you went to high school with, you don't ever have to see them again. But
right.
you get to start creating that tribe for yourself. And it's amazing.
You have more of an opportunity to remove yourself from a situation where someone that you just don't vibe with, as opposed to like a school setting, you're in a classroom, tough titties, you're stuck in the class.
Yeah. You're in a classroom with a guy that called you fatherless because you decided you wanted to shave your head, and you just have to see him every day and be reminded of that shit. Well, only until high school's over. It has an end date. It's not forever. And then you get to pick. You get to choose. But you have to be open. You have to make sure that you are not so guarded that you're missing opportunities to connect with people that could really improve your life. and who you could be there for.
Apologies to those on YouTube that just saw my camera moving all over the place. I am not in my normal setup because I decided I wanted to move my desk. And dogs. All I gotta say, dogs.
So,
Yeah, we have a new one next door, and so Washburn has a friend again that he can run the fence with and poke his nose through the knot holes, and he's super excited. And this dog is very vocal, and so now mine are very vocal, and I'm not
Lovely.
this a whole lot. But I
my
digress.
one something that I think has helped me to further strengthen the fact that there is an open line of communication between me and my kids is when they got older, because unfortunately my children have started dealing with mental health issues at a pretty young age, but as they've gotten a little bit older, I've been able to explain to them, I don't know 100% of the thoughts that go through your mind, and I can't relate to 100% of the thoughts that you struggle with, but I can tell you that I struggle with the same diagnoses. So I understand what it's like to have depression. I understand what it's like to have anxiety. And so when my kids learned that about me, they were like, "You do? Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just like we tell you to take your medicine, routinely, I show them my bedside dresser, my bedside nightstand where I have my monthly pill caddy, and I show them, look, I have my medicines that I have to take. Not all of them are mental health medications. I have other medical issues that I have to medicate for. But I show them, look, I have to stay on track, and I have to make sure I take my medicines. I do not tell them when I fall off the cart and stop taking my medications because I don't want them to worry. But my friends do.
Yeah.
However, we don't hear from you for about a week. We're like, okay, what the fuck is going on? But actually, what led Harley to open that line of communication was seeing and hearing my dynamic with the Witchkins. And because I remember this conversation that, I've talked to, I've let them know, it's like, I'm dealing with this. This is what's going on with me. Please understand, it's not you. I'm not mad with you. I'm not upset with you. This is I'm going through it. And I don't tell them about all the thoughts in my head because before I got medicated, there were some doozies
but
that I
that's normal.
Struggled to even tell Captain about.
That's normal filtering that should be done when you're talking to your children.
That's normal filtering. Right. That's kind of the point. But some of these were even ones that I'm like, don't want to tell Captain about this. And when I've mentioned certain ones to him, he gets kind of twitchy, which rightfully so, because he's my partner and he worries about me. But I have that communication open, so therefore they can come to me and they know that I will understand aspects of this because I deal with it too. And it gives them a sense of connection that, okay, I'm not crazy. This isn't normal.
But I'm not alone. Yeah. And so what led me to creating that line of communication with my kids was my parents, because my parents got diagnosed with depression when I was in high school. I think I was a junior or senior, and they both went on Prozac, and holy shit, all of a sudden my parents were approachable. Kind of. We never had conversations with my parents. It was always them telling us what to do. We never had connection with my parents. There was no open line of communication, and I hated it and I needed it. And so I decided, when I'm a parent, I'm fucking not doing that. I'm gonna be different. And I was very intentional about making sure that my kids knew that they could talk to me about anything. And I've had Apprentice One and call me up and say, "Hey, Mom, can we talk for a minute? I blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And he doesn't have, like, he's got some really good friends now. Now that he's out of high school, he has pulled people around him that they're really good together. I've hosted them over the house together, and like, his friend group is really great, and I'm really, really happy that he had the wherewithal to start pulling people around him that would make his life better. And keeping that line of communication open with him was really important, and I fucking love it, because he's my kid. He didn't ask to be here. I brought him here, right? So I kind of have a
Go tell Dad.
responsibility to do the best
Sorry.
to do the best for him that I can. Same thing with Apprentice 2. They didn't ask to be here. And you tell that dog to quit talking back.
I so seeing
It's Hex. Of course he's going to talk back.
so Rain has always had this phenomenal communication with her kids. And Raven, again, me and Rain go back a little further than me and Raven. But I can tell you that Raven also has this phenomenal communication with her kids. And I've always wanted that, because it's funny, me and my mom were just talking yesterday. We had gotten together, and when she was being brought up with my grandparents, they didn't discuss things. And there was very little physical affection, hugs and kisses. And my mom said that
Right? What the hell?
And then my mom said that was something that she wanted to have with her kids, is that physical connection. She wanted to make sure the physical affection was incorporated. And so it's, as time has gone on, our family dynamics have evolved, thankfully. But seeing the open communication and that comfort of the kids wanting to come to their parents made me want to make sure that I was giving that to my kids as well. Because being a parent isn't about just providing the basic necessities, a roof over your head, food and clothes. It's, the home is supposed to be the safe place. And part of being the safe place is having a safe person to go to. And so I strive to be that for my kids. And I'm, it's not always easy. It's not always easy. There are going to be times that your kids are going to come to you and pop off with some shit that you're going to be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Go. But there are, but you need to, although you might not be happy with what they're sharing with you, you should kind of be grateful, because if they're sharing that with you, and depending on how you react,
that means
to
they feel safe around you.
It's gonna increase that feeling of safety and comfort, and it's gonna enhance that knowledge that, hey, I can come to you with things, even if it's something that you might not be happy with.
Yeah.
I can still talk to you about it. I can still approach you about it. And I think that is really important. Whether your kids have mental health issues or not, it's just a healthy environment for people.
It is. It really is. And like, there are plenty of times where I just cannot deal with Apprentice 2's meltdowns or their anxiety spirals. And I'm not a good person to be around them at that point. I'm like, motherfucker, just get your shit together. And you can't do that, right? And I have to be very mindful about how I interact with them at that point, which means that I have to have the emotional maturity to be able to regulate my own emotions when I'm around them, and they're, in kind of a needy space. And it was funny because we were talking last night, because we had like a long drive to get to this museum and get disappointed and then come back, and then we decided to drown our sorrows in cookies. So, but we were talking like my retirement plan, and I don't know if Dar's on board with this, but it's fucking happening. Is I'm going to buy like 4 or 5 acres of land, and I'm going to put a tiny house on it for me and Dar, and there's plenty of room. If my kids want to put a tiny house or a trailer on that land too, fine, go for it.
I can already
And
picture like an
Apprentice 2 is
old
like,
school, like quaint little cottage that like witchy feels.
yes.
Hey, and that would be for me.
But Apprentice 2 is like, but where will we stay when we come visit?
Rain, your camera's off.
And I was like, all right.
My camera's off because I had to get my charger and walk around my room. So, yeah.
Appreciate you not giving me motion sickness.
Thanks.
Yeah, Apprentice 2 was like, but Mom, we need a place to stay when we come see you. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll have an extra bedroom, or I'll put an extra little cottage on the land for visitors.
I'll have a futon. No,
Right?
you know what though? I will say that having the communication with my kids and sharing with them that I can relate better than they may think I can because of this, because I have similar struggles.
Mm-hmm.
That it helps them. It lets them know that I understand where they're coming from. Maybe not 100%, but I do have a advantage when it comes to comprehending where they're coming from. But also it opens the line of communication between us, because if we're having a day and we're running around and it's just a lot of social interaction and where our anxiety gets peaked, when we get home we can all say to each other, listen, I need to decompress, I'm going to go to my room for a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids feel comfortable saying that to me as well. They get home from school and it's been a long trying day, lots of people that deserve to be punched in the throat but don't get punched in the throat. So
Lots of faces in need of a fist.
they know that I understand that sometimes decompression is needed after a day like that. And so I don't give them a hard time if they go to their room and listen to music for a little bit after school or whatever, to give themselves some decompression time, but to make sure it stays on a healthier schedule. We'll talk about it. I'll be like, okay, how about this? When you get home, take 30 minutes to an hour to decompress. If you want to hang out in your room or do whatever. But after that, we need to make sure that we're doing homework and we're having dinner and blah, 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 blah. And I'll be honest with you, my kids come back at me with the same rationale. Mommy, you've been in your room a lot today. I think
somebody needs to.
Good.
We've become
and
the fact that your kids feel comfortable saying that to you.
Gremlin 3 is
that says
the
a lot.
biggest component, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Probably.
Gremlin 3.
No, so ADHD is rampant in my house. And I do mean rampant.
Mm-hmm.
And I do better on a schedule. When I was unemployed, Captain tried, but my depression was not having it.
Mm-hmm.
So that affected my ADHD. Which in twos, ADHD has been really, really bad. And the family motto is do what you have to do, and then you can do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That is the family motto. That has been the family motto since forever, for the better part of a decade that we have been together. That's the family motto. Well, that wasn't being put into practice.
Yeah.
chores getting half-assed done or not done at all or forgotten or whatever. And Captain's like, you don't want me involved? Make everybody pissed? Well, push came to shove. And there is now a very, very rigid schedule for during the week after school for things to get done. And there are consequences to the yellow and red times tasks. So green is on time, got stuff done. Yellow is got it done, not on time. Red is epic failure. And there is consequences that are paid the next day and cut into free time.
Yep, because every action has a consequence, whether it's a good consequence or a bad one.
And Captain,
Lord.
military man, you're either going to be smart or you're going to be strong.
Mhm.
So yeah. She doesn't want to do regulation push-ups. She doesn't want to do burpees.
Oh
Who the
God,
hell
who
wants-
does? Oh, fucking burpees. I actually have a
Oh.
workout shirt that says, "I'm sorry for what I said during burpees."
No, you
I
don't.
think I took that.
Oh, I gave it to you.
Yeah, you gave it to one of us.
I thought
I
that I
cannot
had
stand
taken it,
burpees.
but I think it wound up staying with Rain because I went to go grab it one day and I couldn't find it. Bad panda.
Maybe here. I don't know. I have to
No,
go through all my
burpees suck.
clothes. Because I have clothes I need to get rid of and then see if I fit into some of the clothes that Raven has given me.
Oh my God. Last night, y'all. Okay. I bought this skirt off of Amazon, and it's like a black brocade skirt with a mermaid tail and the corset lacing up the side. And I didn't realize when I bought it that it was based on Chinese sizing. And it didn't fit, and it didn't fit, and it didn't fit. And I decided, I'm going to try it on and see if I can wear this to this damn dollhouse museum.
Is
And
that
it's
the
too
picture that
big.
you sent to us?
Yeah.
Hot
So
mama.
you do know you can get it altered.
I'm gonna, because that was the first time I ever got to wear it. I bought that thing like fucking years ago, and I've just been carrying it around, hoping that I lose enough weight to fit into it. Well, that day finally happened. But off topic a little bit, or that was off topic a little bit. But if you don't have that kind of line of communication open with your kids, it's not too late to start creating it.
No.
Carve out time to get them one-on-one and just talk, just shoot the shit. Just start
Honestly,
talking to them.
You could do it at home,
Mm-hmm.
or go on a parent kid date.
Mm-hmm.
Like since I'm working and once we get caught up, Witchkin 2 and I regularly go on mother-daughter dates.
Yeah,
And I will tell the MOC, hey, I'm out with Witchkin 2, yada yada. Witchkin 2 has gone and will go to Captain when it's feasible. She'll go to him about once a month, or once every month or so, and be like, hey, I want a father-daughter day. I'm sorry, male parental figure day and daughter.
Yeah.
I could see her
when I
saying
got
that.
unemployed. Yeah, totally. The school buses here are problematic. They don't have enough drivers. They don't have enough buses. So the buses are always running two routes, running late. So when I got unemployed, I was like, you know what? I'll drive apprentice to and from school. I don't mind that. It's not that far. And when am I going to get this chance again to sit down and have uninterrupted time with them when they're a captive audience, right? And it's been fantastic. And I'm so glad that the job that I get to start tomorrow is remote, because then I can still drive them to and from school, and I can still have that time with them when they can bitch about their day or their homework or their teachers, or they can ask questions, or they can snark at traffic.
Snark at Rain when she randomly calls on her way home from work.
Yes. And we love making fun of the Cybertrucks that we pass. But like I was telling somebody. Oh, go ahead, Harley. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, one of the easiest ways to, or what, how I kind of eased my way into establishing and opening that line of communication is I would take advantage of when we were in the car together, me and one of the kids. Um, and I try to be mindful that if there's a topic that could be deemed sensitive to the child in question, or the subject child, then I make sure to address it with them one on one discreetly. So that way they don't feel like I'm calling them out and sharing their business. Even though it's within the family, I still want them to know that they have my confidence. That I'm not going to blab about everything that they say without their permission. But to start the process, I would honestly, a lot of our most in-depth conversations have happened in the car.
Yeah. And honestly, experts recommend that if you want to have conversations with your teenagers, to do it in the car because they can't run away.
I knew I heard
But
it
you still need
somewhere.
to be mindful of still need to be mindful of the topics and making sure that you are reading their emotions and that you're not stomping all over them.
And that
Because
they're actually paying attention to you and not TikTok.
yes, because if
Mhm.
you want your teenagers to talk to you, you have to show them, you have to prove to them that you are listening, that you care, and that you're not going to break their confidence.
You
It
have to show that you're
also,
listening because so many adults
Hmm.
don't listen. They
No, they
talk
dismiss them
at
just because they're
kids.
kids, right? But they still have minds. They're learning shit, yes, but they're also smart as hell.
so one of the um, tricks is so usually if I have a difficult question to ask one of my kids, or if it's something that they might be embarrassed about and less inclined to be upfront and honest about, is I'll actually try to have that conversation in the car, because that way they don't feel like they're under a microscope with me like staring at them. And
Hmm.
although I'm being attentive to driving, I'm also make sure the radios is turned down and I'm attentive to what they're saying. And for me, my face is very expressive, and sometimes my face will say something before my brain has a chance to process and formulate a, a good response. And so by being
Hmm.
in the car and driving, it gives me it not only makes them feel better because I'm not staring them down, but it makes me feel better because they can't see my facial expression before I have a chance to school it.
Oh, I see that we are almost at time, and I want to tell this story um,
Okay.
because it's going to show, honestly, how smart our kids can be and how much they actually pay attention to us when we have conversations with them.
How about this?
So,
You
yesterday,
can do the story and then we'll wrap up.
Sounds good.
so yesterday, okay, so Friday, Witchkin 2 came home from school because she was dizzy. We're still trying to figure out why. Don't come for me. I have a call into her doctor. We're trying to get her seen.
Y'all should never ever come for Rain over parenting issues because I promise she is handling it.
Um, but she was starting to feel better Saturday morning, and she was supposed to go into work at 3. Well, she came down, had breakfast, took her meds, and she's like, I'm going to go and hide in my cave for a little bit. All right, cool. She wanted to go be with her mountains of stuffies. Okay, cool. Well, I went to wake her up when it was almost time for us to leave to get to work, to get her to work on time. Work is literally across town from us. That's why she can only work on the weekends. But when I went to wake her up, she looked really, really pale. And I was like, kid, how you feeling? She goes, I'm waking up. I go, all right, you need to call off. You're looking really pale, and I don't want to be 30 minutes away and not be able to come get you should something happen. And so she called off, and then her boss said, okay, in the group chat, trying to get her shift covered and everything else, decided to be passive aggressive. And I'm seeing a trend and just being a
Bro, I will
jackass.
trend your ass. Knock it
And
off.
then put her on pretty much put her on probation and a or work plan for her attendance. This child is called. She's been employed for 4.5 months. She's called off 4 times. Once we were in Houston and she called off a week beforehand. The schedule wasn't even fucking out yet. The other time was when we had to crack down on her eating schedule because of her eating disorder, and she had to call off 2 days, so there's 2 more incidents. And then yesterday, every time that she has called off for valid reasons. And if you need documentation or you need proof, dude, I have medical records. What the fuck do you want? And even then, it's not your business.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her, I go, every time that you've had to call off, every time that there's something going on, and anything like that, your boss does this crap. And it's starting to, it gets you in a pissy mood, then we have to freaking deal with it. And quite honestly, you being pissy, we don't want to fucking deal with. And, I was like, she's like, can we run to the store? I really want HEB's watermelon sherbet. Okay, cool. So take her to the store. We get a couple things. She buys 2 stuffies. She comes home. There's a package. She has another stuffy in that package and 2 really cute outfits. And on the way to the store, I told her, I go, I need you to understand. I understand that you like work. I understand that your allowance does not come close to what your paycheck does. But an employer will replace you the day after you die.
They'll
And
have
not
your job posted
care.
before your obituary hits the fucking newspapers.
So you have to take care of you, and then you can worry about work. We need to figure out what's going on with your dizzy spells first and foremost. And I can't have you getting this upset with this passive aggressive thing. So we got home. We went out and talked to Captain. And he said the same thing. We're like, give him your 2 weeks. That way it's if they need a reference or whatever, because you are going to look for another job. This is your first job. You do have to put your employment history, blah, blah, blah. So give the 2 weeks. So she wrote this eloquent paragraph saying, she's given plenty of notice. She's tried to get her shifts covered when needed. And when she calls out for her mental or physical health, there's no making them happy and she can't do this anymore. This is her 2 weeks notice. He comes back with, thank you for being honest. I'll accept it. I'll take this as your resignation. Good luck with your future endeavors. But before she sent that paragraph, Captain read it and then passed it over to me. And Captain's like, she came up with all that on her own. I didn't correct anything. I'm impressed. Good job, kiddo. And when Witchkin 2 is pissed off or frustrated and needs to get a point across, she is very direct and eloquent. And Raven can attest to this because she's heard it.
She's got a fantastic vocabulary, and she wields it like a fucking scalpel.
And she was given kudos for that. And it's just
so proud.
you're meant to Your mental health matters. And it's something you need to instill in with your kids. Your mental health matters. But that also means you can't just say, "Oh, I'm depressed, I'm going to sleep all the time." It means, "Oh, I'm depressed, I need to go see someone about this. I need coping skills. What can help me?
Mom, I feel like this. What can we do? And then you
What can
need
we
to
do?"
jump. You need to go through the hoops and get your kid the help that they need.
And get your kid the help and get yourself the help. It can be frustrating. And you don't want to admit that you have issues because, we're old dogs, do tricks. It's a thing. But you know what? I recommend
But
I recommend therapy for everyone because we've all gone through some shit.
yes. But
If
admit
I'm
it to your
being
kids. Admit when you fucked up. Admit what you're dealing with.
if I'm
They're
being honest,
I
they're
flat out told her
surprisingly
that I was
insightful.
wrong and apologized.
Yes, fucking do that to your kids. Normalize apologizing as a parent when you fuck up. That's part of building that psychological safety.
so I had an
Harley, you don't like
easier
admitting you're wrong in general.
me? No, I hate
I have a
admitting
hard
when
time
I'm
with
wrong.
it too.
I hate admitting when I'm wrong. There's like
I
an
have a really
audible
hard time with
gulp
it
of me
too.
swallowing my pride when I have to admit that I'm wrong. Um,
Mhm.
but so
She hates having to do it. It's great.
it was
Same.
easier for me to accept and seek out help for my children than it was for me to admit to myself and take the steps to get help for me.
And it was easier for her to do the research and force me to a person to give me drugs.
I'm a huge advocate for mental health care, mental health wellness. I think it's hugely important, hugely important. And I'm so glad that it's becoming more normalized in society. But I don't know. For me, for myself, it was like a mental block. Like I, I felt weak admitting that I needed help, that I couldn't handle it by myself. And that is my fucked up thought process. Do not follow in my footsteps. There's no shame in admitting that you need help. But as Rain pointed out, we have hit our time. So thank you to everybody who is listening. Thank you to anybody who is watching on YouTube. As always, please feel free to reach out to us. We love hearing feedback. We love input. And if there's anything you want us to talk about, send it over. Our website is MOC
You
Media.
got questions? How would you deal with blah blah blah?
Yeah, MOC
Okay,
Media.
let's try this again from the top. Our website is
mocmediatx.com. If you send a question with a scenario asking how we would react to it, you need to specify if you need a genuine reaction or if you need like a Harley reaction, because I can go petty.
or Rain reaction.
I can go. Rain is more reserved than Harley.
Fair, I am. I am the reserved one of the group.
All right, but
How the fuck that happened? I don't know.
We're gonna go ahead and call it. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day, evening, week. See you next time. Bye.
Love y'all. Let us know what you need.